Julian, welcome back to the podcast.
Hi, Stephen. Thank you very much.
I've got a question for you this time round. And it's all about what we talked about in previous podcasts, but it's really just drilling in a bit deeper with a specific word or phrase. We've mentioned trust quite a lot. So why should clients or potential clients trust you?
Okay, that's a great question. That's a great question.
Throw you under the bus there. Go on.
In terms of trust, I think we've actually built up a lot of trust, and trust is a word that I use a lot on our email signatures and things like that. I think
asking you the question.
the trust side of things really comes from that it takes sort of compassion, confidence in what we do to provide a sort of resilience and a responsibility and a sort of level of power control that we can actually pass over. And really that sort of really moves into what we do as a project team in terms of empowerment, and what we do as a project team in terms of our own internal provision in terms of empowerment. So really it's about fostering a culture of trust. It comes from sort of collaboration, and it comes from a positive environment. Now we can demonstrate that we've got trust through what we do with Gaucho. Where we're retained. Or where we've had repeat customers coming to us for many, many years. Where we have had repeat colleagues, consultants working with us. So designers that we regularly work with. There's a level of trust there, and with that, we've really sort of empowered that through our previous collaborations.
And that's one of the things I want to get across in this podcast today, was because, we've talked in the past about trust with regards to you have a culture of trust in your community, in your your business. And then we talked about business for good requires trust. And you've mentioned about empowering people within the business and how that reflects outside of the business. So thinking about empowerment there, how do you empower others outside of the business to come and work with you? Or how do you empower people, or attract, if you will, people to come and work for you?
Okay. I think ultimately it comes down to sort of 4 or 5 things. It's like, there's a level of autonomy in the workplace. There needs to be clear communication. There needs to be a training and development benefit. And there needs to be really a reward on initiative. And those things, with probably a couple of other things, sort of come together, and they come through various levels of what we do in terms of our work practice. So if you're looking for increasing motivation levels, for instance, and job satisfaction, when I can get increased motivation and job satisfaction, I probably get staff that are working above and beyond. In terms of what they do, and then from that, by them working above and beyond, they're probably more than satisfying what our clients' needs are, or rather our clients' expectations. Get exceeded, and with that, then we've got the trust of the client as well. And it is a circle in terms of that motivation level, and that. But it's about making that job satisfaction in the first place to get that step to go above and beyond. What I'm looking for really is a level of enhanced creativity or innovation, and with that I get new ideas. So by giving the staff that level of empowerment to go and do what you think is appropriate. Obviously within reasons. There's levels of calculated risk. But we sort of bring through those ideas and that innovation, if you like, into our work through giving that trust and that and motivation, and with that we also get sort of adaptability and resilience, and we've touched on that before. I'm quite adaptable in what I do with the staff. 10 weeks holiday a year and all that sort of thing. Sometimes. But us being adaptable, I get adaptability back as well, and that pays, and I get that benefit. That will come through that autonomy sort of idea of autonomy, and also, but I get a resilience as well by being adaptable, and how we can sort of work. And then what I'm looking for is that helps us to feel more agile as a company by being able to offer those sort of things.
It's interesting that you mention agile, because there are so many businesses and companies that I've either had work with or we've had conversation with, and it's decisions. I appreciate decisions have got to go through a process, dare I say, down the chain or whatever. But when you're a business with the culture that you have, you can, a decision can happen much quicker, and then therefore the result can happen that much quicker. And
I think really, with decent, we're fairly flat in terms of structure. There's not a great, linear hierarchy in where we are. So we've got really sort of decentralized decision making.
Yeah.
In terms of daily operations.
Yeah.
In some respect. From that, as you said, that then leads to a quicker, more agile response, which ultimately turns to the client, probably gives them a quicker and more agile response. They're getting their stuff earlier, and with that, also it's probably more informed in some respects.
So for people who are watching and listening, can you share maybe a story or an experience where that's occurred?
Historically, we used to put staff into other people's offices or other people's projects or organisations. We haven't done it for a while, but we've done it historically. Okay, from that consultant or that client had the benefit of having my staff member sat in their office. Okay, so from that they can effectively go to their Monday morning briefing or similar, and they're informed at a one-to-one level.
Yep.
And have it automatic, effectively answer, we want to do this. When can it be done?
Gotcha.
Or this is the briefing. This is what it's all about. We've got that brief, so it doesn't have to come through 2 or 3 layers through myself necessarily. It's there, and so from that you get quicker, more informed decision access.
Yeah, do you know what? I'm sat here like shaking my head because I'm like, we used to do that when Nat was our ops director. She would go into a Monday morning meeting with a particular client every week religiously, and you know what the benefit was? Because she was there. There was a group of on somewhere between 4 and 6 usually, but she'd be going into that meeting. The meeting would take about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Instead of an hour.
Yeah.
Because actually everyone was informed, like you said. Anything that was important, that she needed to input was ahead of time because she'd already prepped well for it. And there was no then, we need to update the social media team. We need to update the marketing team. It was like, she's got everything. She goes away and gets on with it. And I think from an agile business perspective, whilst I questioned that at first, like, if she's going in there for X amount of time, it's taken her out of our business. I'm taking her out of our business for 10 or 15 minutes, but we get a few hours a day back.
Yeah.
Because she knows, and there's no trickling down waiting for an email or something like that. So I completely understand that. It makes perfect sense.
But to be able to do that, to put the right people in the right places, they need to have that professional training. They need to have that that skill set. So, what I need to do is provide the staff with professional growth. So the training programs and skill developments and advancements and that sort of thing, that's an investment that I need to empower the staff as you go. So
and also
and provide those opportunities, which we do. So we're accredited through the RICS. I put staff on RICS training courses or accredited training courses provided by others, signed off by the RICS, and things like the APM and health and safety sort of side of things with the APS. We're all constantly upgrading and doing those, so that gives the staff the skill sets, or upgrades their skill sets that they've got and empowers them.
And that then comes back to the point you made right at the beginning, is while you're empowering others and training others, you're creating a culture of trust.
That's it.
I love it. I really do. So what does the empowerment within your business look like going forward?
Um, that empowerment, what I'm looking for is the customer satisfaction at the very end. Okay, that's the output that I'm looking for through the customer satisfaction.
Okay.
So to get that in a positive light, we're looking to engage positively with customers, and when our staff are feel in that position of strength and feel that position of empowerment, or even seeing it in a wider sense, see your project team, and when they feel that strength or that sense of ownership, if you like, that actually comes from that actually builds back into it. So customer satisfaction is one of the main things I'm looking through that empowerment. I'm also looking for social impact, which we've talked about in other podcasts.
Yeah.
If I can get that engagement in the community coming through and empowered into the staff, that helps bring that through. What ultimately I'm looking to attract customers through our sense of trust.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm looking to attract staff through our sense of trust.
Yeah.
In what we do, and ultimately as well, which is what I think we've been good at over the years, is generally that retention of talent as well.
Yeah, it's really important, isn't it?
Yeah, if you look at our staff, most of them have been here quite a number of years.
Yeah.
And staff that have come through previously were here for a number of years, and in some respects, we've empowered them to actually move on and do their own things.
Yeah.
Through what we've done here, so you've got to see that as good overall.
100%. It's like I look at that. It's like being a parent, isn't it? You bring them through a process, and when they go off and if you fly the nest, you always want them to do well. You want to do better than you, and it's that whole parenting ethos. You're a parent yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, well, my two personally at home are just flown the nest. Yeah, I've got that sense of loss at the moment. But
right, okay, sorry.
This brings me back.
They'll come back.
Yeah, but no, it's where we entered in, and what I'm looking for is that sort of training development, that clear communication, that autonomy, that reward on initiative, all of that being built into not only the staff but also the project teams that we work with, to actually then get that sense of success.
Gotcha.
That's what we're actually sort of looking through all of that, and communication is good. Communication is clear, and in doing what we're doing at the moment, talking like this, I'm trying to show and demonstrate that clear communication to the outside world there, that why should you trust me?
Yeah.
Turning it on its head.
So for the type of people that you're working with, so we've done podcast series in the past on cafes and restaurants and hospitality and things like that. For that, you work a lot in the hospitality industry. From a empowerment perspective, because let's face it, it's a tough time in hospitality. Mm-hmm. How do we empower those businesses to do well, and how do we empower them to have the conversation around working with someone like yourself?
I've got some existing customers that I can show empowerment through and work with, the likes of a Gaucho.
Yeah,
we're tied up. Well, we're not tied up, but we're working in a retainer sort of
of course
process. From that, we've got regular repeat work. There's a level of trust. They understand how I work. Yeah. They understand, or I understand how they work. I understand their processes, and that provides probably clearer communication lines as well. Yeah. We get between the lines a lot more. In terms of what we're doing, and we'll be able to sort of move through that project by actually being in there with them.
Yeah.
If it's someone new, I want you to be able to see who we've worked with before.
Yeah.
And some of the feedback that we've had before, and some of the communication. If you look at some of our website material, I think there's some videos and that on there of how we've actually gone into different projects and actually led the team.
Yeah.
Bring that all together, and how we went above and beyond, which is a I like as an expression, because we're not just doing what you thought you needed. We're doing more than that, and actually really becoming part of your team. We want to be team players.
Yeah. So, if we're going to empower the rest of the world, how do people get in contact with you?
The easiest way is through the website, through the email, through the telephone numbers, which will all be on the bottom of this podcast, or the website is jca-ltd.co.uk. Follow that through, and you'll be able to come to us.
And you're very, very active on LinkedIn as well.
We'll do the odd bit on LinkedIn.
More than most, let's be fair. Julian, it's been a pleasure to speak to you this week.
Thank you very much, Stephen.